Once upon a time, this remote corner of Asia was the center of one of the largest empires in human history. Mongolia, then a land of nomadic tribes, spread out and conquered half the world. A few centuries later, that empire is now gone, but the descendants of the nomadic tribes continue to roam the same grasslands. And what was once a way to train warriors and horses has now become one of the most important celebrations in Mongolia. This is Naadam, Mongolia's festival of sports. In this episode of Eat Drink Asia, I'm heading deep into Mongolia's interior to learn how the country's modern-day nomads live, work, and most importantly, eat. To visit the nomad community, we have to drive about 6 hours from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia's capital, to the Orkhon Valley. As I travel away from the big city, these large circular tents start to appear. They're called yurts, or gears in Mongolian, and they are the traditional homes of nomadic families. My goal this time is to check out a Nadam sports festival and stuff myself at a barbecue feast. But first, I have a few days to learn about the basics of nomadic life. My guide is D'Artagnan Gerke, the descendant of a nomadic family here in the Orkhon Valley. He now manages a retreat for travelers visiting the valley. D'Artagnan, can you tell us what kind of food we have in front of us here today?
Welcome, Lisa. This is a traditional Mongolian setup that we would usually have inside of our gears. So to begin with, we have these fried dough balls, which are called Bartuk. And Bartuk is dough balls mixed with sugar and salt. And usually you would eat this with jam, fresh berries, and also with clotted cream. So every morning when we milk the yaks, when we boil off the top layer, it leaves off this condensed creamy layer, which we can use as a butter for the Bartuk.
Oh my god, I thought this was a pancake. It's actually butter? That's really crazy.
Yes, so it's like a cream, so you can rip it apart and it's nice and fluffy to eat.
D'Artagnan is the child of a Mongolian mother and a German father. His father was a movie producer who met the love of his life while he was scouting film locations here in Mongolia. The family would spend their summers here at the Orkhon Valley. D'Artagnan, you grew up in this area. What was it like?
Growing up was very different, as I spent 9 months of the year in Kathmandu, where we have our family home, and then the 3 months were in the summer in Mongolia. Definitely Mongolia is my favorite playground to come to. We have all the horses, we have all the animals, we have all this open space around us that as a young boy, you just start running off in different directions and have a fun time with your friends.
Do many people still live like a nomadic lifestyle in these gears?
So nomadism is decreasing definitely over the last years, and people started moving to cities to seek further labor and other opportunities, as nomadism means that you don't really have too much money available. What you don't have in the bank account, you have in animals. So your animals and your herd is your wealth and your accumulation of that. And definitely over the last, I'd say 10 years, Ulaanbaatar, the capital, has been growing at such a fast rate that it's now nearly home to 2 million people out of the 3.3 million people in Mongolia. Of the remaining 1.3 million people, only around 500 to 600,000 still live in nomadic ways. So in our valley over here, when we used to have 300 or 400 nomadic families, we've seen over the last 20 years that it's reducing now down to 160 families.
Wow. That's almost half. The decrease in nomadic population not only affects the preservation of nomadic culture and lifestyle, but it also has an impact on the environment. Nomadic families usually move their herd and their gear every 3 months. This gives the grass and the soil some time to regenerate. But with fewer nomadic herders to move the animals, the land now has less time to regrow. To learn more about the nomadic lifestyle, D'Artagnan is bringing me to a family of famous polo players in the valley.
So this evening we're visiting one of our neighbors, and they are one of the most successful racing families in the area and have been close friends to the Genghis Khan retreat for the last 25 years.
Is everyone related to each other, even though it seems like the gears are quite far away?
My family is not related to them, but we have lots of our relatives in this region, and if not, it's cross marriage from different areas, and then we just have a very strong community spirit together.
Oh, so it's like a big town but vast.
Yes, almost. Yeah, I think that's how it is over here.
As we enter a Mongolian gyr, it is customary to first take a piece of dried curd or have a sip of milk offered by the host before we engage in any conversation. This shows that we come in goodwill and appreciate the host's hospitality.
Wow, there's so many medals on the wall. What are they for?
Motta is actually a very famous race horse trainer in the region. So on the wall is all of the medals he's collected over the years, competing locally at the different cities, towns, and then also across the country.
Are you guys competitive against each other?
I'm so lucky to be born here because of, I love to riding horse and then love every family around here.
We all race against each other, wrestle against each other, play sports against each other. So it's fun to go to the friend's house, play finger game, race horses against each other and do lots of things like this. And he's also a champion wrestler. He's one of the best wrestlers in this valley.
Wow.
For dinner, we have a simple, hearty soup made with a variety of root vegetables and lamb, but only the fat of the lamb is used in the soup.
The cuts are quite fatty here. Do people prefer fattier cuts?
Yes, in the Mongolian, every man, every people is love to fat meat. My dad never eating brown meat, all the time eating the fat.
It tastes lamb, but it's not too overpowering, and the vegetables and the other flavors really balance. When we are at home, eating fat is considered really bad for your health. Do you guys have the same doctor's advice or people telling you oh, don't eat too much fat?
Western doctors are saying that we should eat less fatty meat, but because our animals live in such fresh pastures, there's a Mongolian proverb which says, the more sheep fat you eat, the stronger you will become. So it's encouraged to eat fat.
This diet makes perfect sense for their lifestyle. As a family of horse herders, polo players, and wrestlers, this fat-heavy diet helps them keep going throughout the day. However, since animals are considered valuable assets, nomadic people have a dairy-based diet most times of the year. Meat is consumed more often during Mongolians' cruel winter.
So what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to play Bodog
You want to play polo? Wow. So are you winning races?
one time.
One time? That's just the beginning. You're going to win more, okay? Promise?
Yeah.
Do you have it? Yeah.
It's finally the day of the Nadam Festival. Teenage boys and girls from different families in the Orkhon Valley gather for the big day. Traditionally, Naadam consists of what they call the 3 games of men: horse racing, archery, and wrestling. Other than wrestling, girls are also welcome to join the games. And instead of archery, they will compete in a polo tournament today. No sporting event is complete without some snacks for the fans. Here, one of the most common snacks is kushur, a kind of deep-fried pastry filled with beef or mutton. But the main feast that everyone is waiting for is Bodog, the barbecue feast at the Nadam Festival. While young athletes are giving their best in the games, community elders start preparing the Bodog.
We have Mongolian barbecues in places like Australia or the US, but how is that different from a real Bodog?
I've been to one Mongolian barbecue and I was very confused to what it was. I don't think I've ever eaten anything like that in this country. So it was very tasty, but definitely not what we eat over here. So our typical version of barbecue is called a Bodog. And a Bodog is a very special and ancient way of cooking a goat with natural resources. So the way that the Mongolian nomads live is actually very interesting, and it's very connected to the ground and to the sky and to their surroundings. The way that we take the animal's life is quite special, where in Buddhism we believe that one can take 108 souls in their lifetime before they start to see the animals struggle. So we typically and traditionally eat larger animals which can feed multiple mouths. Fishing and small squirrels and rabbits is not so popular in this region because it takes a lot more of those species to feed a family.
The preparation of Bodog is totally different from other barbecues I've seen. After the animal is slaughtered, the head of the goat is first removed, and then the body cavity is cleared out. It is important to make sure the limbs are intact and there aren't any punctures on the skin. And then, hot stones are stuffed inside with some root vegetables and the offal. The neck is tied shut with a metal wire, and the hot stones will slowly cook the goat from the inside. Next, they will get rid of the goat's hair. Nowadays, they use a blowtorch to burn it away, but traditionally it was done by having several people holding the limbs of the goat over a flame. This cooking technique suits a nomadic lifestyle perfectly, since no pots or cooking utensils are required. After a few hours, the goat is thoroughly cooked and ready for the feast. Traditionally, the most respected elder of the community will be the one to cut the goat open. The hot stones are then taken out and passed along to everyone, since they believe the hot rocks can help heal body ailments. Then it is time to share the meat and dig in.
Is having a Bodog an excuse to get everybody just to have a big meal together?
No.
No?
Well, yes, to some extent it is a way to connect with the community and all spend together a wonderful evening. But more importantly, it's a sharing experience. At these events, everyone must sing because everyone must contribute something to why we are spending the time together. Even if you cannot sing, you'll read a poem, and if you can't read a poem, you'll tell a story, and if you can't tell a story, you will do some sort of performative dance or anything else like that.
Right. I'm not talented in any of that, but we'll see how much vodka I have in me.
After everyone has enjoyed their meal, the host will prepare a bowl of fermented horse milk. The person who holds the bowl will have a sip, do a performance, and pass it on to the next person. While the local families sing their traditional songs, I bring a bit of pop flavor into the mix. Many people may imagine the nomadic life to be rather lonely, but after seeing families and friends who live many kilometers apart, getting together to have fun with each other under one big tent, clearly it is not as lonely as you'd expect. Whether it's a song, a sport, or food, there's always something that brings people back together.